Some greedy real estate investors are just oxygen-sucking, disgusting, greedy meatbags. Watch this.
And Dana, some people in Maui say they're getting calls from real estate investors already looking to buy up what remains of their homes and their property. I mean, that's hard to imagine.
We really failed this badly as human beings that we're actually trying to profit off of people's backs during a horrible tragedy. And I think the other thing that really just burns my rear end is that it's not like outside investors in Wall Street that are doing this. It's people in my own profession as real estate agents, according to some of the residents there.
Realtors, people in the real estate industry are calling your family and your friends who have lost everything by their plots of land.
It is disgusting. It's a land grab.
As disgusting as this is, it isn't nearly as surprising as it is to a lot of people. If you lived in the state of Louisiana after Hurricane Katrina, it was the same kind of thing. Investors came in and bought up all the properties that were not underwater and then raised the prices so incredibly high, and people had no choice because there wasn't any houses available in New Orleans because they were all underwater. A lot of outside areas of New Orleans too grew exponentially. But back in Maui, the governor there says that if any real estate investment company outside of Hawaii tries to buy any of those properties with just the land itself, he says that he's going to try to put in legislation that doesn't allow it for at least 90 days. I hope it actually is longer than that. There's no way for a family to process losing their entire house. Some of them have lost family members, and to get a fair price for what they had in their house. There's just no way you can do that and think logically during that time. The people that live in Hawaii should stay in Hawaii. Investment firms need to stay the heck away, as far as I'm concerned, but you can tell me what you think. And I'm going to tell you a story, and then it's going to go right in line with this Maui thing and how disgusting predatory investors are. Because right after Hurricane Katrina, real estate agents here were buying up houses right after they were being finished in some of the newest subdivisions, holding on to them, and they were literally walking from one closing table to the next closing table because they would close with the builder, and they had already had a contract on it to sell it to the next person, or they are selling it for another $30,000 more than they just bought it from the builder. It wasn't even 20 seconds old. The ink wasn't even dry yet, and they were passing it off to a new owner, and they didn't have to do anything, and they made another $30,000. To me, yes, that is predatory, and it makes us as real estate agents look terrible. All of us. No wonder why people hate real estate agents so much. Not that you needed another reason not to like a lot of real estate investors. The story just happened in Tennessee where a management company that represents low-income housing in the area.
The Jackson, Tennessee-based company admits in a letter it's not people's fault their rent payments were stolen.
The tenants there have been paying with cashier's checks.
Now, their former property manager, Casey Euler, is under investigation, accused of taking those payments.
She was taking those cashier's check and writing her own name on top of over the actual apartment complex itself. The response from the actual management company, knowing that this lady had stolen their money, was pretty nauseating.
They tell renters they have until the end of the year to repay what the company admits was stolen. But this is the way corporate and our lawyers want to handle this.
So if you haven't guessed, the management company is saying that they don't expect the woman who stole the money to return the money. They're expecting the tenants that paid their rent, paid it on time, and that was stolen from them by their employee to pay the rent that's missing. They didn't even know that the rent was missing until after they fired that lady. And once they discovered it, because they did an audit, they're expecting the residents, low-income earners that are living in tax credit housing, to make up for the rent that was stolen. I don't even know how that's legal. I don't even know how they're going to get away with it, but it's just another reason why some real estate investors are just gross. But it always seems to be the ones that are working with people that are low income that are the absolute worst. Now let me introduce you to one of the most predatory practices when it comes to real estate investment. One of the things that people have figured out in the last 10 years, I'm talking Wall Street, is they have found a cash cow, and those are people that live in manufactured home parks. Meet Frank Rolfe. He runs the Mobile Home University, where he teaches other people how to invest and monopolize on people, which he famously said, the residents that live in manufactured home parks are like customers chained to the booth at Waffle House. He knows that the people that live in those parks, they may own the house, but you rent the land underneath it, and there's no regulation when it comes to this. And he also knows that the people that live there are on very extreme tight budgets. When it comes to mobile home parks, the people that that live there really have themselves in a pickle because of the fact that, yes, a lot of times they have bought the manufactured home outright because it was like the last bit of money they had for their retirement. They had budgeted everything out. And then they had planned to spend X amount of dollars for the rent per year. So let's just say the average rent in that area for that lot around $150. What Frank Rolfe is teaching them is that when investment companies come in, they're not just charging 5% more or 10% more. They're charging like 40 to 50% more. And you're probably thinking, what's the goal? Because all it's going to do is evict them. There's a couple things that are happening. And Frank Rolfe is a smart businessman, and he realizes this, is that when people live in low-income housing like manufactured home parks, they most likely do not have the money to move the manufactured home itself. So even though it's paid for, it's going to cost them too much money because they don't have $6,000 to $10,000 to move the mobile home. It may be called a mobile home, but there's nothing mobile about it once it's attached to a piece of property. So anybody that owns a manufactured home park, they can do an eviction on them. It can happen within days.
In March, every resident at Lakeside Park Estates got a notice of eviction and were told they'd have to be gone by 30 days.
Not unlike apartments or leases on homes where you have like a 30 or 40-day notice depending on your area. When it comes to manufactured home parks, if you miss a payment, they can put an eviction notice within 3 days because there's no laws in most states to protect anybody that's living in a manufactured home. So most likely, even if he raised the rent so incredibly high, he can kick out those residents and he can get new residents into basically a house that he got for free. He's actually been sued for this before. So even if it's an older manufactured home, they kind of fix it up and then they resell it. The other thing they do with these manufactured home parks is if they're too old and too dilapidated, they raise the rents to the point where they are trying to get everybody evicted out of there. And then once everybody's evicted out of there, they basically pave those people's paradise and put up a condo. Now, this one, I don't know if it's necessarily predatory, but I want to get your opinion about it. These are the homes that just came out from Lennar. Now, those are cute, tiny homes, and I have been a huge advocate for building smaller homes for people to be able to purchase, especially in the hottest real estate markets like San Antonio. It wasn't quite my idea. These are only 350 square feet. They're only one bedrooms. You're not going to get any families in there. So basically, you're going to be buying yourself your own like condo without being attached, which is not necessarily a bad thing. They're on little tiny lots where they're like basically zero lot lines. And I want to play a little game with you. How much do you think these little houses are worth, in your opinion? It does have a nice kitchen. It has a beautiful living room. It's all brand new, but I want you to guess the price. Drumroll, please. Ta-da!
$135,000.
Now, I know that probably doesn't seem like a lot to people that live in like California and Washington, but for San Antonio, Texas, that's over $380 per square foot. You can buy a manufactured home for less than $100 per square foot, and you can get triple the amount of space that you would here. They have plenty of land in San Antonio. Not only that, they have plenty of houses. Look at some of the houses that they have in that same area of San Antonio. You can buy a older home with a 4-bedroom that's 1,600 square feet. There's lots of other houses available in that area. I guess they're banking on the fact that people want to have new. I don't know if it's necessarily predatory, but if this is the solution to the affordability crisis, I think we're in big trouble. This would make sense if we lived in a super compressed area like Japan, where there is no room for them to build anymore, so they have to stack things on top of each other and they have to make them very small. But this is San Antonio, Texas. They have miles of land everywhere. We're not running out of land here in the United States. There's still room to build. We just don't necessarily have the infrastructure. Oh, I just wanted to show you this because they just reduced the price today to $127. Now, is it worth it? I'm not the only one that thinks they're like not so great. They've been all over TikTok and people have complained endlessly about them. For the past year, I've been sounding the alarm about the big real estate investors building homes that are called build to rent because they know there isn't enough affordable homes across the United States. And what their solution, these investors' solution to the problem is, it's not to build more houses, which would be the solution. Their solution is to build a bunch of houses that are for rent. So the kids can never, ever build their wealth through real estate. They only will be renting for them for the rest of their lives. This is going on all over the Sunbelt area. Now, not all real estate agents agree with me on the fact that they think that this is the solution to the affordability crisis because there isn't any affordable homes available. But I still say if you build them, they will buy them. A lot of the residents that live in these build-to-rent houses were looking to purchase a home and they couldn't find anything in the area, so they had no choice but to rent. Now the median price of rent is actually meeting the median price of a mortgage payment, which is disgusting to me because they know what they're doing. This is why I think it's predatory. If investors just make it just a scotch little bit less than what a mortgage payment is, they know they have them, especially if there's no supply in the area. And if you fill an area full of homes that are just for rent, you're actually dictating the price of rent in that area, especially if you own the most of them. Wall Street is literally making money off the backs of our kids, which is disgusting. I'm sorry. I believe it's predatory. A lot of real estate agents don't agree with me. Wall Street doesn't do things like this because they're doing it for the good of humanity. They do it to make money off of people. If people can't buy real estate that will give them security in the future, because everybody knows all the billionaires wouldn't buy a bunch of real estate if it wasn't a fantastic investment. Wall Street wouldn't be investing so much time, money, build to rent if it didn't make them a bunch of money. Housing shouldn't be one of those things that is a luxury. And by the way, I'm not the only one that hates build to rent. Residents in Ohio have been actually protesting against build to rent.
Throughout Ohio, is prompting action from state lawmakers.
And I see that as insidious because homeownership has always been a cornerstone of American society.
Federal lawmakers.
The American public is getting hurt by Wall Street on this, by these big private investing companies.
Dozens of homeowners in Marysville spoke out against a build-to-rent development during a zoning commission meeting last month.
The reason you're here is to rape our town and take as much money and profit as you can away from us.
The older I get, the more I realize that corporate greed has really dug its fingers and claws into real estate. And the only way in my mind to fix it at this point is to build more houses. For that to happen, we're going to have to incentivize builders to do it. It's going to take a lot of time and some government incentives. I know everybody hates when I say that, but in order for that to happen and builders to build smaller, you're going to have to incentivize them to do it. And the only way to do that is through money. I hate to tell you, but that's the only way we're going to do this. But you let me know what you think in the comments section below about these predatory real estate practices. I'm really interested to hear what you have to say. Watch more videos about the affordability crisis here in the United States. You're going to want to watch these videos right here. My name is Kristina Smallhorn, your real estate whisperer, and I tell you all this because good real estate information matters.